said in our intro that we're going to be talking about the government's efforts to boost the economy and improve citizen services, and also improve the capacity of the workforce, because there were a lot of laid out workforce recently as a result of COVID-19. We're going to be talking about this and more, and we're very delighted to be having with us Dr. Zeinab Nawar. She's a lecturer of economics in one of the prominent universities here in Egypt. Good morning, Dr. Nawar.
Good morning, my dear.
Let's first talk about the Egyptian economy. Of course, Egyptian economy have been stumbling worldwide. It's not only in Egypt, not only in the worldwide, in the Arab world, but because of the COVID-19 and the events that came as a result and everything, and the laid out workforce that I earlier mentioned, lots of other problems that overcame the course of the improvement of economy worldwide. Let's talk about the situation in Egypt. How do you assess the improvement of the course of economy, especially after opening up, and the ongoing exerted efforts, even ongoing projects while during the lockdown, even earlier months of COVID-19? How do you assess the current situation of economy here in Egypt?
To assess the current situation, actually, it had been said and had been said several times from the IMF and the international institutions that Egypt is doing well, even during the crisis and after the crisis. We're still in the crisis somehow, but we are thinking of now for the recovery from the crisis. So we had an expectation of, there is an expectations of the GDP growth of the Egyptian economy to be 4.1%. For your information, some countries, their expectation for the economic growth will be in negative sign, if not in positive sign. We are the only country in the Middle East that will have a positive sign for the GDP growth, which is a very important indicator. What we have, it's an external shock. All of the countries have this is what we call an external shock. Being in a solid economy and having a lot of stimulus packages and all the effort that had been done from the government, so it all shows that our economy is solid. Our economy is solid and still solid in dealing with the crisis, because some of the economies have been collapsed because of the crisis. So as we see that, it's an observation from us as an Egyptians and not as economists. You will see that food and all that, whatever goods that people would like to purchase, you will find it easily. We talk about food, we talk about even the medical supplies. So we don't have any problem as Egyptians. We don't, of course we have a crisis, and it's a health crisis, but I mean, if we look for the consumable goods, if we look about medical supplies, if we look about food, if we look about services, all of these things had been run normally, and there is no effect except for the crisis itself. So all of this gives a good indication about our economy. This is number one. Number two, also we have from the Standard & Poor's and Fitch IPCA, they had still fixed our credit rating to be stable. Outlook means that our economy is solid, our economy is good in dealing with the crisis, and also it gives the messages to the investors and foreign investors not to worry about our economy. So all of these are very important indices about our economy and dealing with the crisis. So I see that our government had done excellent effort in the crisis. The economic reform we had, and we started at 2016, it had an accumulation, a good effect, and also we see this effect very obvious now. So there is no worry about the Egyptian economy. We are doing fine, and we hope that we will recover fast and easily for the next coming few months.
Egypt's 2020 and 2021 budget has earmarked greater allocation to health and education sectors and to help them contain the spread of COVID-19. How do you assess this particular effort exerted by the government, especially that we have met some problems in educational sector, the exams and the shift to digital education and distance learning, and that required quite a budget, and other things also. When we talk about health sector, There were other also things that required expansion of the budget. So how do you assess the efforts that were exerted recently to be able to answer or answer the needs of the citizens when it came to the time of the pandemic?
Yes, the time of the pandemic, of course, and we had, and we talked about it in this nice program. We talked about the stimulus packages that the government already gave to the Egyptian citizens, and also part of the supporting the economy and part of working on the quick recovery of the crisis. It's very obvious in the Egyptian budget of 2020 and 2021. I just have a few points that I would like to highlight about the new budget of this year, 2021. I will go back to the health and education, but the nice thing about it, and this it will give a very nice outlook of how the budget will support the Egyptian citizens in this time of crisis. I mean, you'll see that for the part of salaries and wages in the new budget now, there will be an increase about 12% versus budget of the last year. So last year, the government had a plan to pay wages and salaries about 301 billion Egyptian pounds, but now for this year it's 335 billion Egyptian pounds. When you pay more wages, when you pay more salaries, you give more benefits to the Egyptian citizens. You do this to support their standard of living. You do this because you would like also to increase the consumptions. So when there is an increase in consumption, so there will be an increase in production. So if we're talking about a recovery from the crisis, an increase in production, so it comes from the increase in consumption. This is one of the nice items. Also, one of the very important items in the new budget, it's about the purchases of government purchases of goods and services. When the government increases its purchases from goods and services, this means enhancing the private sector, because when the government is going to get its purchases, it's from the private sector, in the market. So there is an increase of 33% in government purchases. And of course, when you talk about the item of government purchases, where there is a 33% in the new budget versus last year, this means that government will purchase this equipment for hospitals, for example, equipments for schools, for universities, if you talk about education and health sector. Also, in one of the chapters in the budget that talks about in government and public investments, there is an increase of 33% in this new budget versus last year. So what I would say that what's important in this. So first, the government, as part of the recovery from COVID-19, had focused on the dimension of salaries and wages, and also pensions. This is number one. And we talk about salaries and wages, it includes the salaries and wages of the doctors and those who are working in the medical field. What also is very nice, that in this new budget, that we've talked about takaful ukarama, we talk about this transformation and this what is called this type of social safety net. It will remain the same, and also it will increase. We have 60,000 families and households will be added to this type of pensions. Going back to your question about the health, there will be an increase about 52% in the investments in the health sector. This means what? This means that more constructions of hospitals, renovation of old ones, buying and whatever equipments that is needed in this important and crucial sector. So this also reflects how this is important to the government. Also the increase also in purchases of the health sector. All of this, it gives an indication, because the budget means it's a financial plan of the government. So when the government put a financial plan that the government is going to spend more money on a certain sector, means that the government is planning to do like a reform of this sector, creating more investments, putting more money in buildings, in getting more equipments, and also in paying salaries to the doctors, which is very important. And if we talk about the innovation part, about the health sector, what we call بدل المهنة الطبية, some sort of bonus that's going to be given
The
to
per diem?
doctors. بدل المهنة الطبية. This is very important because we used to hear a lot as economists.
It was very low, the medical per diem.
Yes, a lot of complaints from doctors that this type of bonus was very low. If you would like to encourage doctor to stay at hospitals and to work and to provide a better service to the Egyptian patients,
You have to give them
pay
conveniency, to
Of course.
provide conveniency
Of
for
course, and you have to stop their travel. Some of our doctors, they travel to Gulf countries and abroad. We don't want this to happen. We want our doctors to stay at our country and to treat the Egyptian patients. This is very important. Of course, we have the president initiatives about health. Also, we have more than 16 billion Egyptian pound that would be paid for more health initiatives, which is very important. So you have investments, you have purchases in health, and you have also more initiatives in the health sector. So you have this triple effect in our economy. For the education, there is an increase about 46.9 billion Egyptian pound. So the total of that will be allocated for education, it will be 363 billion Egyptian pound, with an increase of 15%. This will all be paid, these allocations will be paid for the construction and buildings of more schools, universities, for more labs, all of this for more, and for, if you would like to do a further reform to the way of teaching, the way of education, the means, if you talk about the digital infrastructure for schools and for universities, which is very important.
Everything's becoming digital.
Yes, yes. So the budget actually tackle a lot of the new budget that we do have tackles several areas, and at the end it looks for how to do the recovery from the crisis through increasing the allocations to health sector, how also to work on the needy and the social safety net through what will be given to the needy, and to continue the types of pensions, the increase in salaries and wages, which is very important, and also support the industry. We still have what we call دعم الصادرات, some of subsidies to be given to those who have exporting to different countries. So they still have this type of window. They still have to get some sort of money and benefits from the government because they exported a product out there, wherever, in Africa, in Europe. So we're still, as Egyptian government, and through the work of the budget, trying to do the recovery work and trying to enhance consumption and also enhance production and creating more jobs through encouraging the private sector. So it's very comprehensive image about the budget. It's not only about, it's yes, health and sector and more allocations for health and sector, which is very important and it's priority for the time being, plus other investments also that will be allocated for the national projects, and also the government still continuing the work of the infrastructure and the infrastructure projects.
Right. How do you assess the efficiency of the course, the speed, the pace of work during COVID-19 in the mega projects? It has never stopped. Yes. Amazingly, to the whole world. I mean, lots of businesses have stopped construction work and everything. The whole world came to a halt. While only in Egypt, the projects, especially the infrastructural projects, have been ongoing normally with the precautionary measures and safety measures taken.
Yes. There is a lot of disturbance that occurred in a lot of countries. This is why they had stopped their projects and their work. But I think that the situation here is different, that we had done excellent effort during the crisis. The new national projects, we had continued these projects efficiently and on time. This is good for us, and this is also for creating more jobs. and for what we call that, we need to give messages that we are okay and our economy is running. And also we have plans in Egypt. There is a plans for more reform, and there is a plans for achieving more economic growth, and there is a plans also to lessen the unemployment. So this is the role of this national and mega project. Of course, it has an important and crucial role of, if we talk about roads and tunnels, for example, it's linking all the parts and all the governorates and all the maybe the small villages in different areas of Egypt, linking all together. So this is very important, because if I'm talking about a citizen that is living in Sohag and would like to go to Cairo, would like to go to Sinai, if we talk about the tunnels of Sinai. So all of this comprehensive linking of all the different parts of Egypt all together, this has a crucial economic effect. It will lessen also the cost of production to the Egyptian manufacturer. How it would do this? Because the Egyptian manufacturer, part of his cost is the transportation cost. So when he can easily do such type of movement of goods from Sohag to Sinai, from Sinai to Port Said, from Port Said to wherever, this huge linkage of roads, so he can easily move his goods and his production. Even he can move easily to the port.
The economy
will lessen his cost. This means that his product will be a competitive product if you'd like to export to any of foreign countries.
Definitely.
So it all has to continue, and also we are as Egyptians, we have to continue.
On that very optimistic note, we'll have to end it here. Dr. Zeinab Nawar, you are a lecturer of economics. Thank you very much for coming over to the breakfast show.
Thank you.
You have a beautiful day.
Thank you, my dear.
And we're going to go to a short break, and we'll come to continue the breakfast show, so stay with us.